Welcome to the Diabetic Mogul podcast. In this podcast, we offer standard and recommended practice of not only managing your diabetes well, but how you can get involved in advocating for proper access to healthcare. Join us in this season as we host diverse guests within the diabetes community from around the world, both from people sharing from their lived experiences as people living with diabetes and healthcare providers. I'm your host, Tino Tendazigid, a patient advocate, a Toastmaster, and a financial intelligence expert with the vision of empowering, educate, inspire the diabetes community in the best way I know how. And to do this, I write articles as a way to pay it forward and host a podcast. And I encourage you all to get involved, get engaged, and come up together to create the change that we need. Hi, Jennifer. Please kindly introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I'm now living in South Korea, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2020.
Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. Please, may you kindly share with us how you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes?
So I've been training Taekwondo for pretty much 10 years, and I've been training all the time and, 6 days a week, 3 hours a day in the evening. And suddenly I felt very weak, just always tired, had to go to the bathroom a lot. And I just thought, it's probably just my muscles that are tired from working out so much, until it got to a point where I couldn't walk up the stairs from the subway anymore. Like, I was exhausted just getting up 3 flights of stairs, and I thought something's not quite right. So my coworkers eventually got me to do a full blood test at the Korean doctors here, and everything was great and perfect, except my blood sugar in the morning was 365, and I had an HbA1c of 12.1 or something. The only thing I got told was, that's diabetes. Here, have some pills and come back in 2 weeks. Good luck with that. No explanations or anything. So I started researching, why would I get diabetes all of a sudden? Okay, my diet wasn't perfect, but it wasn't super unhealthy, and I've been working out the whole time, and nobody in my family has it. So I researched and found out that just in the case of being a type 1 diabetic and you're misdiagnosed, it's kind of really, really bad. So I pushed for that test with another Korean doctor. They did find out that I didn't have any, and that I did have antibodies, and that it was actually type 1 diabetes. But again, they just gave me a prescription for insulin and said, just start with 10 units. Good luck with that. That was it. So it was a pretty big shock with no explanation or anything. And I had to basically do all my research by myself, and until I found the teams here.
Thank you for sharing your initial experiences with us. We can safely say we all have had unique experiences during our diagnosis. Now, briefly, share how has diabetes affected you?
Mainly food, of course. I can't just eat biscuits anymore. I really miss doing that. Just, watching TV and not thinking about food. So as all people with diabetes, I now have to think about all the carbs that is in my food. Also, I need to just plan ahead a lot more. So if I know I'm going to exercise all the time, I know that about 3 hours before, I can't really eat anything that requires insulin anymore. So if I am hungry 3 or 4 hours before training, I need to consider what kind of snacks I need to take with me. Because if I have insulin in the system and then go to Taekwondo training, it tends to just drop me very quickly. And the same, I really have to consider any holidays that I'm taking. If I'm training 6 days a week, but then suddenly I want to take 2 days off, or I injure myself and I need 3 rest days, I have to plan my basal insulin, this much food, and I'm not going to exercise. This is affecting me already 1 day after not exercising. So it takes a lot of planning. And the first few weeks, the months were really, really hard. But now I'm sort of used to that. I know that if I'm planning a hike, I use a different basal amount. I know what kind of food I can take along, and I know what kind of food I eat and how I react to that food. So it's a lot easier to kind of stick to the same food that I know, but I have started experimenting more, and especially the last sort of 3-4 months, I got a lot braver with trying out new food. So I feel now I'm getting a lot more used to everything.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Indeed, failing to plan is planning to fail. Basically, you can take a break from diabetes. Now, may you kindly describe the status quo of diabetes care in South Korea?
Yes. On one side, it's really, really great, and on the other side, it's really, really bad. that. Like when I first got diagnosed, you know, I read up on international message boards and everybody talked about how they learned about injecting themselves on like an orange and, you know, had all these discussions. All I got was a prescription for insulin and shoved out the door. And that was the amount of diabetes care that I had. And I only got tested for type 1 because I pushed for it. And even with a diagnosis of type 1, I was basically told, yeah, use insulin, good luck with that. It's like the day-to-day care is pretty rough. Like in a hospital setting, there's not a lot of time, and often doctors are kind of, I think they're kind of paid per the amount of patients they see in a day. So you don't have your half hour, 1 hour discussions about how well you're doing in your diabetes care. If you have a CGM, they quickly check your numbers and just check, like, are you feeling okay? Is everything good? Okay, thanks. Here's your new insulin and good luck. So there is a lot more work needed from our community to like study for ourselves and, you know, share with each other, like my child is going to school and they will have this type of food. How is your child coping with this during exams? And so the community here is really, really great. And the good side in Korea is that we do have a lot of access to obviously all types of insulin or most types of insulin that we need. CGMs up to 70% funded by the NHS here. Pumps are partially funded too, and like test strips and these kind of supplies are up to 90% funded. So it is quite accessible and affordable here. And that's a very good thing. It's just our community is still very much working on getting better support for the actual patient care. And that goes into, you know, during Corona times into the telemedicine discussion. Can that be an option? Connect with patients that way, how medical data can be used, and would that really help people with the more emotional side diabetes as well? But I think until that is regulated, I'm very, very glad that we do have a very strong community here that can help each other. Another thing here was like with the technology, they are really, really quick. So as soon as I found a bigger hospital, when I found out it was type 1 and changed to an actual hospital with an endocrinologist, I only mentioned CGM once. Like I heard this thing about this technology that can kind of check your blood sugar, and they could immediately give me a prescription for it. So I got onto CGMs like within a month of being diagnosed. Yeah, from that side of things, it's very good here.
Wow, it really is great to learn how other communities are doing in terms of advancements in diabetes technology, something that still needs to be invested in Africa. However, we all have our challenges. Now, there are often misconceptions over what people with diabetes can and cannot do. What did you do to overcome such obstacles and pursuing on your passion for Taekwondo?
Yeah, when I first got diagnosed, I thought as well, like my life is over. I can't do the things anymore that, you know, I'm really passionate about. Like, how am I going to keep my blood sugar and exercise? That's not possible. And it was a really worrying time. What really helped me was just seeing other people. Like the more I tried to find a community and the more I tried to stubbornly find a way, like there must be somebody that can exercise with diabetes. There must be somebody. And if not, I'm going to be one. And then I found all these athletes. Like I found Taekwondo people that went to the Olympics despite this or with diabetes. They're Olympians fighting at Olympic levels, and here's me just doing it for fun. That just reminded me, like there is no excuse for me. If Olympians can do it, there must be a way for me. And the more people I found, I even connected with a few martial artists in like Canada and communities over there. I found football players. I found, I think, basketball players, a swimmer too, and just all these amazing sports people, well, weightlifters, and just in general, personal trainers, and just people whose main job is exercise with diabetes. I think the more people like that, advocates for diabetes, and show their life like on Instagram, social media, and anything you can search it, then newly diagnosed people like me have it a lot easier to see that there is a way. I might not be on the same level, like I'm not competing and I'm not going to the Olympics anytime soon or in this lifetime, but I'm still enjoying it. If people might think, oh, these really exceptional athletes might be able to do this, but I'm just a normal person, I can't do it. Yeah, I'm just a normal person, and I still train usually 6 days a week, and I go hiking and I do everything. And like you said earlier, if you fail to prepare to fail. You just have to know what you're going to do. And my schedule is pretty much the same all the time. I know my training, I know how I'm reacting to it. And when I do new exercise, I'm just extra prepared for it. Like for a while, I started cycling. And I just made sure I had a lot of juice on me, and I had my insulin with me because I didn't know how I would react. For my day-to-day training, I just make sure that I eat enough food before, or that I know how many carbs I need. And that tends to change throughout the months as well. Like some days I can eat 20 or 30 grams of carbs without any bolus insulin. And other days I look at 5 grams of carbs and I need 5 units. Well, that's what it feels like. So it's just always checking how your body reacts, how you're feeling at the time. If you're feeling a bit run down, have you had enough sleep? Just be aware of this and go into training. The other really, really important part is that your teammates and your instructor or anybody around you are aware of your condition and know to look out for you. Because there have been a few times where I was either stubbornly thinking I'm going to be fine and tried to continue. I just felt really, really weak and tired, and I just couldn't concentrate on the forms we were learning or the kicks we were doing. And having an instructor that then looks at you and goes like, go and check because your CGM is not always accurate is really helpful. Like they can tell like she's not all right, she needs to sit down, or like they make sure my juice is around. And just having that support from your team is also very important, and it just keeps you safe as well.
Your dedication and determination are the keys to success, and that's important. Thank you for your detailed explanation that I hope would inspire and encourage someone. Now, Taekwondo is a form of a vigorous exercise. And what's your secret to success in this journey without any fear of severe hypos, for example?
For me, it just kind of helps to keep exercising. I find for me, it is easier to keep the same schedule. And even though people often say to me, like, why do you exercise 7 days a week? Or, okay, not quite, but like 5 or 6 days a week. But that just makes my levels more predictable. As soon as I take an unscheduled rest day, it gets really hard for me. Like the last 1 or 2 months, I've been trying to do other activities at the weekend. And sometimes I notice on the Mondays after, I feel a bit weak. So I've been trying to take Sunday and Monday as a rest day. And even that one day makes Tuesday and Wednesday a lot more difficult. I myself working out my schedule on how I can let my muscles recover for optimum training, but at the same time have to keep active so that my blood sugar stays level. So it's a battle. Like, which one do I want to keep, my muscles or my blood sugar? Do I need recovery, or do I need to, keep my blood sugar level? So that's still hard for me. But I do think the more everything is experimenting. So the more you get used to things, the more you can predict it. So yeah, I'm trying to eat the same kind of food throughout the week. I always have juice ready. I do often, despite having a CGM, I still check like my blood sugar with a normal glucose meter before and sometimes during training if I don't feel well. And that's another important part, I think, like listen to your feeling. And I know sometimes when you've had a lot of highs and lows, it's a lot more difficult to listen to your body. But if you've managed to like keep it in range for quite a while, then even a quick change from the top of the range to the bottom of the range, even though it's still in range, will make you feel it makes me feel kind of weird. And I can tell that if I had dropped or shot up too quickly. Yeah, in that way, I just try and kind of always listen to what I need to do. Another part is when I do new activities, I am just extra prepared. Like these days I've been hiking a lot, and you might have seen I literally go with a giant backpack, and there's kids doing the same hike in like their sandals. Here's me with my really big backpack full of food and juice and water in case I get thirsty, but then also sugary coffee or sugar drinks in case I do need sugar, but also liquids in case I don't need sugar. I'm just over prepared. I learned that taking breaks is okay, and going slowly is okay. And if you need to sit down and let your blood sugar come up a little bit, that's also okay. Like not everything has to be extreme and to the highest level and the fastest possible route up. Sometimes taking things a bit slower and safer is also a good way of enjoying yourself.
Great talk. Thank you, Jennifer, for the tips. And in that case, from your exposure to the extraordinary conferences that you attend as a DDoc voice, your own researches and personal experiences, share your key insights to the audience. I mean, it's usually great learning from those with lived experiences. Over to you.
For me, published sources that really helped me were, I found a book called My Diabetes Science Experiment. It basically taught me safely experiment. If you want to eat new food or do new activities, how prepared do you need to be, and what is a sort of safe way to try and do this activity and how to kind of keep track of it. So especially being newly diagnosed without any help, that book really helped me to kind of learn what I need to do if I want to eat something that I have no idea how many carbs are in it, or if I want to do something where I have no idea how exhausting it will be. Yeah, kind of what to listen out for. I am really grateful to be given the opportunities with DDoc, of course, as well. That gives me a lot more scientific background, like all ATTD and it's that country where you see the science and healthcare professionals still discussing the exact effect of glucose and insulin on the muscles, which goes with it that there is scientific backgrounds for everything, and they're still analyzing it, how we can use this knowledge to make exercise safer. So yeah, this has been really interesting, and I can't wait to study that more because there's still so much I want to learn from it, and then also find a way of making it more accessible because yeah, like I said, to me this is very high level research. If we can find a way to make it easier and more accessible for people, that will be nice to share as well.
This is really awesome. And as the diabetes community, we often say nothing about us without us. However, we are often given different precautions in terms of what to do before, during, and after an exercise. So as a Taekwondo practitioner, what do you usually follow? What do you do?
So in my Taekwondo bag, I don't only have my Taekwondo like bodyguard and arm guards and everything. I always have a whole lot of sugar candy and chocolate, exercise sport bars, basically a lot of food, usually some glucose drinks as well. I always take my insulin bag, my glucose meter along as well, despite using my CGM. So I always have everything on me. If I'm feeling great and my CGM has been accurate for a while, I'm okay with just going straight into training. If I'm feeling a bit weird, or maybe I've eaten something right before training because I was hungry and I'm not quite sure, I tend to check before. Again, it does help when I know what kind of exercise I'm doing. Like I know Monday is usually a Punse day, and then on Thursday we have a sparring day. So I know to prepare differently for those 2 days. Or one of the days is more self-defense class. And even though we have a normal warm-up, we will do a lot more technical practice that doesn't require as much cardio and it's not quite as intense, your sparring session. So knowing your schedule and knowing what you're going to do helps a lot already. Having all your kit with you is very important. So that's what I tend to do for Taekwondo, like check before, make sure I've eaten enough that I'm not hungry, and eaten enough my body has energy to actually do the work, but not eaten as much that I need a lot of insulin right after training. For me, my levels tend to stay quite normal. So I don't have sudden spikes after Taekwondo training, and I don't have sudden drops after. So in that way, I'm quite lucky. But when I used to cycle, used to drop pretty much within the first 10 minutes, no matter what I ate. So even if I just drank a whole bottle of, fizzy drinks or something, I would still drop and then shoot up higher. And then later I found out that for me, if I drink something with fat in it, so if I drink like a 20-gram carb chocolate milk or so, that would be the only thing that got me up slowly enough, but at the right time that it would last me through cycling. And again, that just comes back down to like experimenting and see how you personally react to different exercises. And that's different for everybody. My friends often struggle with hiking, or they struggle with cycling, whereas I'm okay in hiking. Or it's always different for everybody. When I want to go hiking, I know that usually within the first 20 minutes, I also have a big drop. again, no matter what I eat for breakfast. So I always know to have food and drinks with me, of course. Like I said, my whole hiking bag is full of food of all sorts with fat in it, so it lasts longer, and also sugar to have it immediately available. And I just learned through experimentation, I need to stop after about 20-25 minutes of first starting and let my blood sugar come up. And then usually for the next hour, 2 or 3 hours, I'm kind of okay, unless it's really, really exhausting and really, really steep. Yeah, so I think in terms of preparations, just start slowly, start with slow hikes, or, start walking first and then see how your body reacts. Then try and go somewhere steeper or walk for longer. See how you react to running, and just do little bits at a time until you know your body and see how you react. And either way, be prepared for both the high blood sugar and low blood sugar, and just have your insulin and sugar with you at all times. And ideally go with friends so you're not alone, because that's pretty scary sometimes.
Priceless piece of advice. And as I said, it's always great to learn from experience, and so that we would be guided and inspired by those success stories. When we go to our doctors, definitely the conversation should be different. So what has diabetes taught you over these 2 years?
I think it taught me that I'm stronger than I thought I could be. It also taught me that maybe before in my life I made a lot of excuses about things, of like why I'm tired or why things are hard or something. And now my life is a lot harder than before, but it's also like way more enjoyable. Like I feel like I appreciate everything a lot more. Maybe because we have to work harder for it. And if we want something, like if we want to exercise, we really have to work for it. We can't just show up and do it. We can't just eat something. We have to plan to eat it. Like I still enjoy my cakes sometimes, but I have to plan when I'm gonna eat cake if I eat it. Yeah, everything I do, I have to plan. I have to be careful. I have to really prepare for it. I feel that has given me like a bigger appreciation for the things I am able to actually do, the things we can do in life as well. The other really big part is also, like you said, we are stronger together. I feel I'm like a lot more connected to people internationally and nationally, and the amount of friends that I made through the diabetes community has been absolutely amazing. So it's obviously never a nice thing to be diagnosed with diabetes, but the people that I met and the opportunities it has given me, I think, like, I really wish I could go back to that first day when I got diagnosed and, crying in front of the mirror because I didn't know what to do. Just tell myself, like, it's going to be all right. And it's not just all right, it's going to be really great. It's going to be amazing. And it is. So, yeah, I guess it has given me a greater appreciation for life and health and things that we can do,
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for the quality time and your in-depth responses during this session. I must confess, your responses got me emotional. It takes a lot of courage and boldness to survive and conquer as someone living with diabetes. We have to make decisions every day, every minute, and in every second. So what are your last words to the people listening, both the international community and the people living with diabetes from South Korea?
To the diabetes community, like internationally, I just thank you so much to everybody who's sharing their life at whatever level, like artists and activists and athletes as well. Just everybody that has a passion for life with diabetes. It helps everyone so much. Like, it might be different for people who have had diabetes for like 10 years or 20 years, but to me as a newly diagnosed person, like, I still need to see what is possible. Like, for me, sport, I know is possible, but yeah, other things. It's just so amazing when you can see what people are passionate about and what they can do, and that diabetes doesn't stop anything. So anybody who is in any way open and sharing their life and the challenges and successes that they have and on social media, it helps so much. And that doesn't just mean the big Olympic winning medals and everything. It's just anything that anybody does with a passion helps so much. Like your posts as well, your blog posts, how you always explain everything in a lot easier way. Your summaries help share with the communities, your podcasts as well. And it's just hearing these discussions helps so much. And with the Korean diabetes community, of course, as well, I'm just so grateful that they helped me so much, translated everything for me when my Korean wasn't very good. Well, it still isn't. Yeah, just the amount of help I've received in Korea and internationally has been amazing. And I'm just super, super grateful. In Korean, I can't say much, but I can say 일형 당뇨인데 건강하고 행복하게 살 수 있습니다. It just means, like, even though we're type 1 diabetic, the people with type 1 diabetes, we can still live healthy and happy lives.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you for accepting our invite, and we hope to host you once more.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
A huge thanks to our guest, Jennifer, a powerful D-Doc voice and a dynamic advocate in the diabetes community. It's really an honor to host someone you have known who is doing great things in your community and within the international community at large. Special thanks goes to the Diabetic Mogul podcast listeners for their continued support and loyalty. We hope that you have learned so much from our Taekwondo practitioner. Let's get involved, let's get engaged, and let's come up together to create the change that we need. A big shout out goes to the young leaders in diabetes with IDEA, T1 International Society for Pediatric and Adolescent Diabetes, Zimbabwe Diabetes Association, Africa Diabetes Alliance, and most importantly, the D-Doc Voices. And a special mention goes to Renza, Dawn, Caro, and Jennifer. Thank you for always sharing your feedback with us, and thank you so much for loving the content that we create each and every month. It's the Diabetic Mogul podcast checking out. Thank you and goodbye.